What was your most frightening experience?
Frightening experience. Sometimes you don't have time to think about it when it happens, so it just kind of happens, and then you might be a little shaky afterwards. You're like, wow, that just happened. That was crazy. Almost died, kind of thing. But probably just the anticipation, anxiety, or fright would be when our company commander would put us in 7-ton trucks, and there was no armor on these. We'd have body armor, a flak jacket, and it's like football pads, but it's made out of Kevlar, and we'd put them all over. You have a neck one, every important area you were protecting. But we would face outboard from the 7-ton truck and sit on top of sandbags because we didn't have armor, but they had started using RPGs and IEDs, which are like homemade bombs. And so we would just put the sandbags on the floorboard of the truck. Not that that would probably even do much if you ran over a mine or something, but we would sit in those face outboard, and just our company commander would have us drive around outside or inside Baghdad, just waiting to get ambushed. And that's what would happen. You're just waiting, and you're like, I just hope I don't get shot in the face, kind of thing. And that was the anticipation of it, because you knew they were out there and it was dark. It was always done at nighttime. That's when everything bad happened, after like 10 p.m. And we would just drive around until somebody would shoot at us. So that was because you knew that was the end result. You get shot at, you drive off the mark 200 meters, you get out, and then you go and counter that. And that was always kind of, you have very little control over the guy how his accuracy is going to be. Thankfully, they were not very well practiced. They were not great shots. But that was probably those gauntlet missions, I think is what we called them, kind of running the gauntlet.
What was your most interesting experience?
That's just filled with interesting experiences. Just probably somebody trying to kill you, and then they don't kill you and you survive. It's very interesting. It's a very what it does to your adrenal glands. It's an incredible experience. It's something that you can't recreate all that easily, thankfully. But yeah, that's probably the pinnacle of it, is when somebody's trying to kill you and you know they're trying to kill you, and you survive. It's a crazy thing. It's a crazy thing. But there's all kinds of crazy experiences. Surviving an RPG attack that causes injuries to other people, and then the aftermath of the vehicle-borne explosives, just all sorts of incredible experiences that once you process it afterwards, it's kind of nuts. Like there was one event where we were a quick reaction force, and so that means you're sitting around and there's people out on missions, and you're just kind of ready to go help them if something happens. And a lot of times something would happen. Well, there was 2 anti-aircraft missiles that were shot at some of our helicopters. They're called Stingers. So we were the QRF. We saw where they were launched out of, and we went there to go find them. And a long story short, we didn't find the rocket launchers. We set up a checkpoint, and a couple hours, this was at night after 10 p.m., a vehicle-borne IED came, and it had something like 100 artillery shells in it that were wired up to blow up, and it would have killed all of us. We would have been a bloody mist in the wind, but the wire in the dome light came loose. They're called EOD, Explosive Ordnance Disposal. They're really very highly trained bomb squad, and they came and explained all this to us after that it happened. But they shot the guys in the truck had a backup plan. It was a buddy VB IED, so they're suicide bombers, but on the buddy program, they're more likely to commit with it because they have an accountability. Sometimes if it's just one person, they back out. But their backup plan was they had small arms, and they launched an RPG. It blew the leg off of one of our guys, blew me and Crocker to the ground. It was just chaotic. I tied a tourniquet on Jones was his name. He survived. And just the things that happened that evening were intense. I stole a Mercedes from some random Iraqi just to, I wasn't trying to steal his car for any other reason that we needed to put Jones in the back seat to drive him to a place where we could have a medevac land. So, Grand Theft Auto, I suppose, in Iraq. That was an intense experience. That's probably one of the more interesting ones.
What was your most exhausting experience?
Uh, Nights like that, not after you get back and kind of process it. It is exhausting. It's just exhausting, mentally and emotionally, and then that affects the physical.
Do you recall any particularly humorous or unusual events?
The whole Marine Corps experience is just a string of inappropriate stories. There's just tons of them. Yeah, uh, I could do hours of interviews just on those stories. I'll give you one that's somewhat um, PG. There was a guy we were doing helicopter operations where we just fast rope all day. You get into sticks, which is a line of Marines about a squad size, and you just get into the stick, load up on the helicopter. They look like the ones that fly around here. They call them Chinooks. The Army has them. They're called Chinooks. It has two rotors. They're green. It looks like a big tube. The Marine Corps had those. They were called CH-46s. They basically look the same. So we would just load up into those, jump out of them, do it all over and over and over again, and you'd be on a grinder, which is a huge parking lot. And there was one Marine that was, just like in school, you have your days with people, friend one day and, annoying the next. And this guy was kind of annoying us. I think he had like threatened to take apart my car and put it out on a poncho liner because he was a mechanic previously. And anyway, that annoyed a couple of us. And he went into they have like porta johns, like a porta john, whatever you call them. And he went in there, and the helicopters would wobble him around a lot, and we put a stick in the thing, so he got locked into it, and it was just the timing of it. A helicopter took off, and it blew it over when he was in it. And I mean, we made up. I don't know how many weeks later, but that was kind of a funny one when Lancaster was in the Porta John and it got blown over. But yeah, that's the whole Marine. Any Marine that was, especially in the infantry, will tell you that's just one shenanigan to the next in the Marine Corps.